Is Disney a glutton for punishment? Is Disney just working hard to get Uncle Casey's attention? Are they begging to be nominated for the upcoming third annual Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards? Are they trying to punish Rachel Zegler, who played the role of woke Snow White? Are they trying to punish her for destroying any chance this overproduced dump had of succeeding? I'm trying to understand the reasoning here. I'm trying to understand why Disney would re-release Snow White into theaters. When they released it a couple of months ago, it was the very definition of huge embarrassing failure. For years, I have said that no one does failure like Bomani Jones, but Disney seems to be busting their ass to permanently take the crown of failure. The modernized version of Snow White, which was really just the woke version of Snow White. I didn't watch this garbage, but I would not be surprised if Snow White was demanding he, him pronouns. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if she was demanding to be called Snow Black. Disney spent $270 million to produce this steaming turd. Here in America, it was a box office flop. If I remember correctly, woke Snow White generated 70, maybe $80 million domestically during its original release. When you include international numbers, Snow White generated just over $200 million. Now, I'm no expert in math, but that looks like a loss of around $70 million. The film, it was released 2 months ago. I think it was around the middle of March. Now, most studios would cut their losses, and they would never hire Rachel Zegler as the primary star of their film ever again. It's kind of hard to recoup production cost when the star of your movie is telling normal people not to spend their money on it. But for some reason, Disney thought it would be a good idea to re-release Snow White into theaters. Unsurprisingly, the level of embarrassing failure, it was significantly worse than it was before. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. One of the reasons I think Disney re-released Snow White, I'm sure they were hoping to break even. They are less than $70 million away from breaking even. If Disney can convince 70 million kids to spend a single dollar on this garbage, they would break even and they could forget about this nightmare. Another reason Snow White was re-released, it's because the children are now getting out of school. The children! It's all about the children! I guess the thinking was the kids were too busy to see Snow White in March. I guess they were busy with school where they were learning critical race theory. They were busy with gender-affirming care where non-binary Terry was helping them select their future pronouns. When I was in school, they were preparing us for college or preparing us to get a job. Today, they are preparing kids to make the terrifying decision of which pronouns they're going to choose. But either way, the kiddies were too busy for Disney in March, so Disney spent the money to re-release the film, hoping the children would rush to theaters to be indoctrinated. Watch Snow White. Somehow, Disney was able to convince 1,000 theaters to show Snow White he, him. The average theater has around 150 seats. That's 150,000 available tickets per showing. Let's assume there were 4 showings in a day. That's 600,000 tickets a day, 1.8 million in a weekend. At $15 a ticket, Disney could potentially make $27 million. But since this was an embarrassing failure, let's lower our expectations. Let's say a good number would be $10 million for one weekend. That's fair, right? Unfortunately for Disney, they were barely able to eclipse $10. And that is no exaggeration. On their best day last weekend, Disney averaged $171 per theater, which would be around 10 tickets sold. This past Monday, they averaged $22 a theater, not per showing, $22 per theater in a day, which means a daughter and one of her mothers were sitting by themselves in the theater watching Snow White. As I was researching this video, I checked to see if Snow White was still in theaters. With earnings like this, I figured Disney would just cut their losses and move on. But unbelievably, Snow White is still showing here in the city. Unsurprisingly, there are plenty of tickets available. Like I told you guys a couple of months ago when we were talking about this, you can get away with a lot of things. Americans are very forgiving. It might take a while in some cases, but generally speaking, Americans forgive and forget. 5 years ago, the NBA embraced the woke wiener and dedicated themselves to the fight against mythical racism. This year, NBA ratings are the highest they've been in the last 25 years. The NBA has essentially been forgiven. But there is one thing that you cannot do. There's one thing that's unforgivable. You can't piss off mama, and you damn sure can't piss her off by indoctrinating her children. Women never forget, and they damn sure don't forget how you make them feel. For years now, Disney has made mothers feel unsafe with the attention of their children, and now they're paying the price. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys on the main channel.